Hey, g'day big bikers. Well, it is a ride day today, and yes, I am out on the new motorbike. So there will be a big reveal coming up at the end of the video. The hands, it's going to be crook for a while, I think, but probably the thing that's causing most of the uncomfort is the coccyx, the fractures in the coccyx. So the tailbone really sore. One of the key things I wanted in a new bike is a comfortable seat and cruise control, because I think that's going to be giving me some ongoing. It's about as straight as I can get it, and I can't close it all the way, but it's getting there. It's healing, certainly a hell of a lot better than it was 10 weeks ago. So what I want to do is just go through the process of buying a new motorbike, and that logical kind of rational part of your brain that tells you to get what you think is actually what you want, and then the thing that's inside your heart. And sometimes you've got to go with a little bit of both. I'm a stoic, I'm a very rational person. I like things to make sense, so I had a list of things that I wanted in a new motorbike, and let's talk about that. So, first of all, I've received a whole heap of messages from people that have been injured while riding motorbikes, and there's a couple of things that have come from that. Like not just motorbikes, just push bikes as well. I'm talking about people that in very low speed crashes, just turning around on a greasy, clay track on a little 300 CRF, broke his hip. Another guy riding his mountain bike down the driveway broke his femur. Just came off, hit the edge of the driveway, slipped off, broke his femur. I was very lucky. I've got a broken finger, some damage to my coccyx, but holy cow, it could have been so much worse, and I'm so grateful for that. And I seem and feel like such a freaking whinger for complaining about just these little bits that I had that have kind of kept me off the bike for a couple of months. But boy, you see the injuries of people. And if you're new to the channel, what happened was I hit a car hit me. We came together in a narrow, twisty bit of bush track, and boom, that oncoming car nightmare that everyone who's ridden off-road has to contend with actually happened to me. And anyway, if you're new to the channel, I totaled my bike, or my bike got totaled. Depends on whose perspective you're looking at. Anyway, the insurance company considered it a total loss, and so scrapped my bike, and I had to go looking for a new one. But I couldn't for a little while because I had a broken hand, so I couldn't do any test riding. But some of the bikes that I was looking at was, and I went to probably half a dozen dealers in Brisbane. I know the Team Moto ones are all part of the same kind of consortium, same group. Couple of independents. I'd prefer to buy from an independent group, but I got to tell you, the quality of new motorbike sales is not awesome. I said, of the half a dozen dealerships that I went to, I had one dealership follow me up, took my details and followed me up. It's a hard industry, but they make it hard for themselves. I've got to tell you, I can't imagine working in a dealership. You'd have a lot of tire kickers. I get that, but it doesn't hurt to be professional. It doesn't hurt to take numbers and follows up. I told them I was a legitimate buyer. I just can't do a test ride. I can't, anyway. One guy followed up, and guess what? That guy got the sale. So, anyway. He actually didn't know much about the bike, but he was open about it. He said, look, I actually don't know much about the bike. I'm only new to it. I could tell you all about Triumphs, but I don't know much about... Ooh, nearly said it. I don't know much about this one. So that was good. But, I think most people do their own research these days, and I spent hours on YouTube looking at reviews of different motorbikes. I've ridden the T7. I was probably interested in the World Rally. I was interested in the Desert X. So I've ridden the T7. My brother's got one. I've ridden the Desert X. Lotsy's got one. I was interested in the, interested's the wrong word. I've got a 701, so my garage is currently the Husqvarna 701, the VFR 1200 Cross Tourer as my two-up touring bike, and I kind of needed something in the middle. So, you know, the Touareg 660, the T7, the V-Strom 650, and even the V-Strom, what do they call it, the DE 1050. Not huge on my list in terms of what I was looking for. I wanted off-road wheels, so spoked wheels. I wanted 21-inch front wheel. I wanted good suspension travel, and I wanted, this is just the start of my list, but that stuff excluded a lot of the more, you know, like the multi-stratas and that sort of stuff, which you know, yeah, they're not proper off-road bikes. As I said, I got the 1200s, so the GSAs and the 1290s and the you know, all the big bikes were out. I've done that, so it really came down to those kind of mid-size stuff, like the Tiger 900, 800, 900, the Africa Twin. You know, I've had an Africa Twin. I've ridden the DCT. I love the DCT. I'd love at some stage in my career, Africa Twin Adventure Sport DCT. Maybe I'm not sure. It's a lot of bike, but there were things that I wanted in the package. Things like, as I said, cruise control, more because I think I'm going to be having some problems with that in terms of arthritis and vibrations on the road and all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of yeah, really aware of the fact that I don't want over-the-top technology. If you've seen my channel and you've been around for a while, you know I'm not a big fan of all the you know, 21 adjustable power settings and the 42 suspension settings in different modes and all that sort of stuff. You know, my experience in talking to people about them is that most people find one or two settings that are their favorites. They'll put the bike either in off-road mode with those preferred settings or on-road mode with those preferred settings, and that's kind of you know, why I think a lot of that stuff where they just jam-pack a motorbike with technology for the sake of it, I think, you know, it's a little over the top, a little unnecessary. Anyway, I went and had a look at the KTM. I went and had a look at the 890, the 1050, and you know, I've been banned. I've been blacklisted. They've basically got a picture of me on the wall in KTM dealerships going, "Do not sell this man a motorcycle." No, but look, I've been hanging shit out of just, you know, that's what you do, right? We just hang shit on each other. People call Hondas vanilla, you know, and they say, oh, boring bikes. So, you know, I hate reliability. You know, speaking of Africa Twins, I can count on one finger the number of times that bike let me down, and that was when I had the wheel bearings let go. Well, that's it. She's gone. I am about 50 k's from home, but she's gone. She's just completely collapsed now, so I'm not going to ride it any further. Fortunately, I'm at a pub, the Diagula Hotel. I ended up having to spend 4 hours at the pub waiting for a tow truck. Heartbreaking. But that was what happened to one wheel bearing and all that. Yeah, and of course, more recently, the what do they call it on the inside of the, this is my concussion, right? The anodizing on the inside of the fork tubes of the Africa Twin failed, and the wear on those caused some issues, but it didn't leave me stranded. It didn't cause me to sit on the side of the road for a number of hours. So in terms of 6 years of ownership on the Africa Twin, I had one issue that grounded me and made me have to get a tow truck home until I hit the side of a car. So yeah, you know, 6 years of ownership of a Honda Africa Twin and one issue. So, you know, we did okay. But look, I think these days, the things like road handling, off-road handling, reliability, Serviceability, well, some question marks around that, but I think those things are all pretty good these days. You don't hear too many reports about bikes breaking down so much anymore. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but I'm not as concerned about it as I would have been 10 years ago. And on the first night of our trip down to Phillip Island, I don't know whether you saw day 2 of that one, we stopped at the Ebor Hotel. We got chatting to the publican. The publican's son was his 8-year-old kid who was heading off to bed, and he was really interested, and he's got motorbikes, he's really interested in the motorbikes, and he said, oh, who's got the KTM out there? Paul's going, yeah, I've got the KTM. He's going, oh, okay. And Shervo's going, yeah, I've got 3 KTMs. And he's going, well, you must have a lot of dogs, Shervo. And he's gone, why do you say that? Well, he said, if you got 3 KTMs, you'd need to eat dog for each one to walk home with, so after you break down. And it was coming from an 8-year-old. It was freaking hilarious. It was such a funny night. He was a great kid, but he was roasting down on Shervo something fierce because he was a KTM owner. So it was very funny. And I've been like that. I've been like that 8-year-old kid, just teasing KTM owners. So I didn't feel like I should get a KTM and have everyone going, there you go. So things like serviceability were important to me. You know, with the Africa Twin, I had to take the side panels off. Even with the pre-filters on, I had to take the side panels off to get to the air filters, to get to the pre-filters. So, you know, it was a 24 fastener job, and you know, once you've done it a couple of times, it was fine, but it was a bit of a pain in the ass to do. Having a pre-filter made no difference. At the end of the day, all you're doing is you're saving money on filters, because you still had to do everything you needed to do to get to the filter, to get to the pre-filter. You couldn't just like lift the seat. The battery position on the Africa Twin, and to be honest, I didn't check it on the latest model ones, but the battery position on the Africa Twin down in there underneath the seat, down behind the engine, was an absolute pain if you were trying to put accessories on or jump start the thing if you had a flat battery or whatever, you know. So serviceability was important. You know, I was talking to someone and they said, look, they've got a Desert X. It wasn't Lotzi, it was someone else, and he said he's done the air filters on his Desert X, and it took about as much work as it would to get the air filters off Africa Twin. Complained about the fact that the Desert X was, you know, a metal tank. The air filters underneath, you basically got to pull the tank off to get to that. Now, to be fair, I think it was once when I was travelling in the caravan, but that was kind of okay because I was on the road anyway. But there was once that I had to pull the panels off and check the air filters while I was away on a trip. Because generally I would do that maintenance before I went out to the desert, or before I went to the Flinders, before I went and did a long range trip. I would make sure the oil was clean, filters were clean, air filters were clean, everything was done, so I didn't need to check it. But there was that one time we went out to the Flinders Ranges with Chris, Ben Kingsley, on his new 790, and Neil on his GSA, on Charlene. And Chris had some real problems on the 790 with the saddlebags on the back of the bike. Created this kind of vortex up in behind the air intake inside the rear wheel, and yeah, just really overloaded the air filter. But the thing I love about it in terms of serviceability is you pull the seat off and check. It wasn't this major, it was a real trackside, you know, thing you could do. You just pull the seat off and boom, you're there. So that's important to me. I wanted a bike that's got 350k range. Twice I ran out of fuel on the Africa Twin, and a lot of that comes down to engine management systems, because the 2016-2017 model Africa Twin that I had didn't have any engine management system. It was an EFI, of course, but it didn't have any engine management options. Didn't have street mode, off-road mode, any of that sort of stuff. And I just remember when we were heading down to Mudgee, running out of fuel, everyone was really low, but the guys that had engine management systems were able to switch their bikes to street mode. And I mean, Shervo went, I think on his, it was a Norden, he went from 70, he had an off-road mode, and he went from a range of 70 kilometres to empty to 110 by switching it to street mode because the engine mapping changed. So, you know, I want to be able to not push the envelope a bit, but when I've run out of fuel, it's always been around 330 kilometers, and it's always been with a really strong headwind, and I've had no engine management options to be able to change the settings. So I'd like to have a range of 350 kilometers plus, and that's achievable these days without bladders, and there's bikes out there with good engine management systems and good fuel range. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to have good suspension. Now I've put suspension underneath almost all my Hondas. I've spent a couple of $1,000s on suspension underneath my Hondas, and I don't, you know, if I get a bike that's got good suspension, or there's an option for a bike with good suspension, I don't have to go and spend that money. That'd be good too. And you know, maybe an uprated spring, a couple $100, upgrade the spring, put a heavy spring rate in, that'd be fine. I'd like to get a bike that I don't need to go and buy bash plates and crash bars and luggage racks and all that sort of stuff. I'm not afraid to do that. I don't mind doing that, but if I can avoid doing that, that was kind of one of the considerations I had in mind. I would like to have a bike, I suppose that's a little unusual, a little different to, you know, like Africa Twins are great, and maybe because I'm in a lot of Africa Twin groups, I see a lot of people on them, but you know, almost everywhere you go there's Africa Twins. There's an Africa Twin in the group. There's an Africa Twin and a frickin' GSA, and in every single one of those groups there's someone riding a DR650. and I just think that's hilarious. So yeah, I want something a little bit different, something that's not your common bike. Ergonomics is an important thing for me. The bike's got to fit. I had to put on the Africa Twin, I had to put risers on the bar to get that up. The foot pegs I had to put bigger ones on, but I want a comfortable bike. I want a bike that's going to be able to bang out, you know, and I'm not talking. So ergonomics are important. I don't know if you can hear that. So ergonomics are important. I don't plan on doing cross-continental rides on this bike. I've got the 1200 Cross Tourer. If I'm going to be going away for a trip, a big trip, multi-day trip, I'm going to be taking Miss Buttons. Well, she's going to come. It's not like I'm going to get an option. I'm not going to be doing the kind of rides I was doing on the Africa Twin, and this was kind of part of the process of working out what sort of rides am I going to be doing. So I've got the Cross Tourer for 2-up, for the long range touring. It's a great bike for that. I may need to find a cruise control for that at some stage. I do have a throttle lock on it, but I will be looking for a cruise control, I think. The 701 I got because the plan was to put it on the back of on a rack on the back of the Land Cruiser and take it out to the desert, because I've been out to the desert quite a few times, and there's 1,500 kilometers of straight roads that basically, yeah, you can go all the different dirt ways, but they're still just dirt roads on the long flat outback. And being in the cruiser, air-conditioned, cruise control, bull bar spotlights, yeah, a lot more comfortable way to travel to get out to the desert. So the plan for me next time I go to the desert is to put the 701 on a rack on the back of the Land Cruiser, drive out to somewhere like in Aminka and just do. There's quite a few rides out there that I really want to do, that I haven't done different times because of timing, because of the the group we were with, or we're going a different direction. There's a few. I think 2024, 25 for me is going to be about destination rides, rather than riding to rather than riding through somewhere, like riding through in Aminka on the way to the Flinders Ranges, or riding through the bridle track Bathurst on the way to Phillip Island. I'll be going to Inaminka, and I'll be going riding around Inaminka, and then coming back to the hotel every night. And the bridle track, for example, for me is now a destination ride. I've been there. I saw, wow, but we rode through it almost all the way unimpeded. But next time I go back, I want to camp there. I want to go there and spend a couple of days actually in the region, just exploring the tracks down there. It was an incredible location. So I want to do a lot of destination rides. So things like weekends away with the camping gear on the bike. I want the bike to be comfortable and able to carry the load, but not do those big transcontinental rides that we used to do, 1,000 k's in a day and all that sort of stuff. So there's a number of places around within a weekend's ride of southeast Queensland that I've ridden through, and I've gone on so many occasions, geez, I'd love to stop here, but it's either on the way somewhere or we've stopped at a pub or whatever. So yeah, that's what this next bike is going to get to do. It's going to be the destination ride bike. We'll be going somewhere to go exploring, set up a base, and then branch out from there. So you want to know what I got? I think most of you've probably figured it out. There's not a lot of options that fit into all those criteria that I want. And the other thing I've got to say, the dealership that contacted me and stayed in touch with me were incredibly eager to sell a motorbike. It's a 2023 model. It's a run out model. They're bringing a new model out next year. They were motivated to get rid of it. They had a demo model, had about 3,000 kilometers on it. They'd gone and done a company ride on it, but it basically comes with full warranty. And as I said, it's brand new apart from the fact that it's got 3,000 kilometers on it. But I'm cool with that because I don't like buying new bikes. The last new motorbike I bought was the Africa Twin, and they just depreciate so much. Back then I could write it off as a company purchase, but these days I'm not in that situation, so I'm reluctant to go and buy something brand new and have it lose so much money so quickly. So do you want to know what it is? Let me give you a hint. You ready? Here's the hint. It's meatballs. Beautiful, beautiful, best meatballs ever. There are a couple of other hints too. And I've got a name. I've got a name for it. And I think you're going to like it. Are you ready?